live right
Yeah,
now?
hey, you're in. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the internet.
Never lost that spirit and soul for turning people on to music that we
love. Linda Perry calls your phone, you pick up.
You know, we like to share the process here, and I think we may have some fun.
I feel what we're curating is really great information, great entertainment.
Anytime, call me, I'm there.
Am I still on the internet?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm waking up, ash and dust. I wipe my brow, I sweat my rust. Breathing in the chemicals. Breaking in, shaping up, and checking out on this prison bus. This is it, the apocalypse. Oh, I'm waking up, I feel it in my bones, enough to make my system blow. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Welcome to the new age, yeah. Whoa, whoa, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive. Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive. I raise my flags, don my clothes. It's a revolution, I suppose. We'll paint it red to fit right in. Breaking in, shaping up, then checking out on this prison bus. This is it, the apocalypse. Oh, I'm waking up, I feel it in my bones, enough to make my system blow. Welcome to the new age, to the new age. Welcome to the new age, yeah. Whoa, whoa, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive. Oh, oh, oh. I'm radioactive, radioactive. All systems go. The sun hasn't died. Deep in my bones, straight from inside. Waking up, I'm waking up, I'm waking up, I'm waking up, yeah. Whoa, whoa, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive, yeah, yeah, yeah. Radioactive, radioactive, whoa, whoa, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive, yeah, 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 yeah. I'm. I'm radioactive.
'Cause radioactive, radioactive, oh yeah, I'm radioactive, radioactive, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive, oh yeah, I'm radioactive. 'Cause radioactive, radioactive, oh yeah, I'm radioactive, radioactive, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm radioactive, radioactive, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm radioactive.
Hey guys. Pushing this shit aside. Moving this microphone. It's a really pretty song, you know, like sometimes it's interesting like how a song can just take a different meaning for you. And it feels like that's the beauty of, like I said, I keep saying it, when you have a good song, it's just good no matter what. I mean, and you know, Brandy Carlisle said this to me, and it really resonated with me because it's really important. It's very true. Like when she covers someone's song, you have to find the meaning in the song for yourself. You can't just pick up the guitar and play a song. You have to find a meaning, the truth in it. And whatever that truth is for you is the right way to play it. And it doesn't always have to, you don't have to copy it. You know, Imagine Dragons has their version of it, and I'm sure Dan has an incredible version of it acoustically. And, you know, last night I was thinking about what I'm going to do today. And I normally don't think about much of what I'm going to do, but I was thinking about it last night and I was like, you know, maybe I'll do one of their songs. And then then I just kind of fell asleep and woke up this morning and got here to the studio, and I was like, well, maybe I will do that. And so I just literally like 30 minutes ago, I have the lyrics in front of me, but I was playing it as I was rehearsing it during the sound check. It just felt good to me. The words felt right. You know, it's a revolution, I suppose. You know, we are all radioactive right now. And so, you know, I think that's just one of the most important things I can keep expressing to people. A good song is a good song. And we just need to find it for ourselves. Like, you know, you just have to find the meaning of the song. And that goes with your own material, man. I mean, if you're not connecting to your own fucking song, then what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing if you can't connect to your own music? Why are there so many artists that I hear from all the time? Like, oh, I didn't like that song. Oh, my manager made me do that, or the band wanted to do that, or the label made us do that. And we did it for radio. We did it for success. And it's like, why? If you can't stand on your stage and play your songs and believe it yourself, what makes you think people are going to believe you? I mean, we can trick the audience for so long. I mean, there's, you know, people underestimate the audience, the fans, the supporters. You guys have all the power. And since you have all the power, you should demand more from your artists. You should demand better songs. You shouldn't be tricked into believing this song is great just because it has more production on it. Or because, you know, whatever. It's like, demand more. We want to know. The artists want to know. Because we're just artists living in our own little world. But if we find out that, you know what, my fans or the supporters, like they really want, you know, something better, or they weren't really happy with that. I mean, you guys tell them all the time by not buying the album or the streams, but maybe be a little more vocal to everybody and just say what it is that you're looking for. Why did you like the first record and not the third record? Why did you like this song and not this song? It's extremely important, the voice of the audience, because you guys, you hold all the power. None of these motherfuckers can do jack shit if you're not supporting it. So anyways, you know, I just went on a ramble. I'm really excited about today's show because I don't have a relationship with Dan. We've met a couple of times, but he's interesting to me. And so I actually went through his incredibly talented, speaking of a voice, Asia. She's in a band called Nico Vega. In fact, I don't even know Asia, if your band's still together. If you have an opportunity, please look up Nico Vega, Nico Vega. And Asia Volkner, is it Volkner? I can't remember her last name, how to spell it, say it. I think that's it.
her voice, oh my God, it's tribal. It's infectious. It's incredible. And so I did a record or a couple songs with them, and I called her up or texted her. I'm like, hey, do you think Dan will do this interview? And I just had a whim, and she was like all supportive of it. Like, yes, I would love to see that. So anyway, so thank you, Asia, for making that happen. And so let's go ahead and just bring Dan out right now. So Dan, if you're ready, let's please welcome Dan Reynolds. There you are.
Hello.
How you doing? Wait, why is I want my different view. Okay, I can do that view. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today. I'm just at home here. I'm locked down with the kids, and
Are you in Vegas?
I am in Vegas. Yep.
Right.
Born and raised here, and this is where we live. We lived in LA for a little bit. I'm definitely going to share this with Asia because that's going to mean a lot to her. What you said, she loves you a lot.
Oh, did you hear me? I was talking out loud.
Yeah, I was snooping.
Did you hear me cover your song?
I did. I thought it sounded great. It is cool to hear different renditions, and it does always make the song come alive in a different way. Yeah,
isn't it? I mean, and also too, I'm assuming I did a good version, but isn't it distracting to you, or not distracting, but maybe like if somebody does your song and it sounds exactly like the way you did it?
Yeah, I think it's more like disappointing is not the right word, but it's like, I wish that you would do it your way, because it's going to sound better always, 10 out of 10. When you interpret it for yourself and not try to mimic, I think.
Yeah. So what was great about this for me is I know we've only met a couple times, and we recently hung out at that Grammy Museum, and where we did that panel, and I honestly don't remember what it was for, but I think we were supporting supporting the LGBTQ Grammy U
and LGBT.
Yeah, the kids.
Yeah.
And that was really great. And there's Dan. And and then we met briefly at my studio a long time ago when you and Asia had met for the first time. And for some reason, the last time you and I saw each other at the Grammy thing, you left an impression on me, because I don't know you at all. And I'm not listening to Imagine Dragons over and over. I hear your songs. I totally love your voice. I understand the passion. I understand the art that you're creating. And, but for some reason, like for me, I don't know why this term is going to come out of my mouth. So please forgive me. I'm transparent. But you reminded me of a sad giant that's trying to not step on ants, but sometimes you can't help it, and you do, and it scars you. And I don't know what that means, but literally that's what came out of my head today, this morning, when I was thinking about you. It's like, yeah, he reminds me of like a sad giant, and is trying not to step on ants, but unfortunately once in a while you have to, and it probably really scars him if that happens. What does that say? Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm probably really bad at identifying myself and knowing kind of who I am in the world and what I represent. But I think when I hear that rings true to me on a lot of levels. I think I was born to be set up perfectly for life. And I know that this is such a redundant thing to everybody in the world, but I'm just going to say it because it just is my truth. And I think that's what you're touching on, which is I was raised in a middle-class home, Las Vegas. My dad was an attorney. I was given a good education. My mom was very hands-on, scholastically, and just a wonderful mother. I'm white and I'm tall. And so you just put that all together. And then I ended up starting a band, and it was the first band I started, and then it blew up. So I think you can't help but when you have something like that, I think there's two ways you can go. And I think either you can be completely numb to the situation, or you can think, what the hell? Especially in today's climate, I think, I'm I know the term of like, I'm grateful for everything, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, I'm very grateful for my life. But on the same note, you can't help but look around and be like, wow, look at everybody else who got a really, really shitty hand dealt to them. And why was I dealt this? And so that, for me, I don't know if it's because I'm an artist. I don't know if it's like how my mom raised me. I don't know if it was being raised in religion. I was born in a really religious home. I'm not religious anymore, but I was very conservative religious home. I have a constant, it's always in my head. It definitely is a thought of, okay, well, so what are you doing? Are you just taking advantage of the system and what you've been given? And often I am, absolutely, because, you know, I'm a selfish human being like most humans. And so, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's, I hear what you're saying.
You know, you said something for some reason. I just want to go back to it. Okay, so you're a tall white guy with a privileged family, great. And then you put a band together and it blows up big. Do you have guilt about that? To
a degree, yeah, to a degree for sure. I think, especially because of, I don't know. I guess as you travel the world, it just opens up your eyes so much. I don't think I carried any guilt growing up. I was just thought that was the way for everybody. I thought everybody was Mormon when I was younger. I was like, oh, everybody's Mormon. Some people are not. It sucks for them. You know, they're not going to be with God, obviously. But yeah, you know, I got to go out and make everybody Mormon so that we all can hang out with God. Like that was how I was raised. And then it was, you know, middle school, and you're like, wait, oh, there's lots of other people and like different people. And like, I mean, Vegas is a diverse place, but I was raised in a, like I said, in a very conservative environment. We weren't, you know, I never went to a concert, to give you an idea. My first concert I went to, my first festival I went to was playing it as a band. That was not something that we had access to. I was also in a really large family. So even though we were in middle-class home, I'm one of 9 kids. So if you tell mom, hey mom, I want to go to a concert, it's like, no, you don't have money for 9 kids to go to a concert. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure I do. And I've also dealt with a bunch of depression since I was young. I don't think it was I think for some people that's a genetic thing. I don't think for me it was. It was a product of a spiritual crisis that I started facing at a young age. I didn't know that I was facing it though.
So a sad giant is pretty accurate. That's what I get from you. I'm sorry, I have no idea what this conversation is going to be. I just am doing the one that I feel like I'm supposed to have. So if I'm starting to get too personal, please.
No.
You know,
I'm an open book. But I'm an open book.
Because depression to me is like, I get a lot of those questions from people, you know, and I'm like, some days, you know, like the first month when all this pandemic hit, it's like, I just have to keep going. I can't stay still. So we started this live stream and we've been doing it for 2 months now, and we've been growing and growing, and it's been really interesting. We have amazing guests on and great conversations, but you know, that I would show up sometimes. I'm like, this lesson, you guys, I'm just depressed today. And I would just kind of wing my whole show of an hour talking about my depression and how it makes me feel, and trying to integrate conversation through chat, whatever, to everybody else. But I feel depression is an interesting one because I can't for the life of me half the time figure out where it comes from, you know, because just some days I just wake up and I'm just like, and then some days I'm like king of the world and run around, and then all of a sudden I'll have a lull again. And I search my past and I try to project the future, and it just doesn't make any sense, you know, so I've learned to embrace it. And one thing that I always say is like, even if I'm happy, you know, I still won't be free, you know, so it doesn't matter, put a smile on my face or not, I'm still going to feel this restriction inside myself, you know, so the only way to actually be free is to embrace it for me. So curious where you're at.
That was one of the things, though. Just going back to the Grammy Museum thing, I remember coming home from that and talking to Asia and really sitting down and being like, "Tell me more about Linda," because I really was impacted by you. I really saw a without being corny, like authenticity to you. That's like, for better or for worse, this is what it is. You're going to get me at this. If I don't want to talk about this, I don't want to talk about this. And that for me is, especially as I get older, it's just really refreshing to me. I mean, I'm still, I'm 33 or something. I think I'm 33, 32, one or the other. And yeah, I don't know. I saw that in you. And so for me, I would much rather watch a stream of someone who's not putting on a smile. I'm really bored with a lot of mediums today because I feel they are, concocted or something, especially like Instagram, like and things like that. I just feel like I really want to see, I want to see the bad day just as much as I want to see someone's good day. I want to, maybe even more so, I want to see the bad day because I feel like then I connect with that person more.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did see a couple of interviews, and you are very open, which is really refreshing. And it seems like to me, like also like you do so much. You know, I don't know if people really know about, all the things that you do. You do so much for the LGBTQ community. And, you made that movie Believer, and you're always supporting, you're always standing by, the underdog in a sense, and people who are surviving or fighting. And I guess when I was thinking about that this morning, I was saying to myself, I wonder if he's trying to fix something in himself by being so, hey, here I am, I'm going to help out. But it's like, I almost feel like, is there something a wrong you're trying to correct?
I think it's funny you bring this up because I have a therapist that I talk to, and I have for years. And I was talking to him just the other day, and we were touching on something like this. And one of the root causes for me, for activism or anything like that, is it comes from, I wish I could explain Mormonism to people in a way that really would explain it in a quick nutshell. So I'll try to do that. But it's so all-consuming. It's not like you just go on Sunday. It's like, this is your life. Every day you have family study. Before I'd go to school, I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and go to a Sunday class before school every day. Then I went on a 2-year mission where you give up everything for 2 years and pay out of your own pocket to go knock on doors. And you're that guy who's like, hello, my name is Elder Reynolds. Like, I did all that. And it was so all consuming for my life that once it crumbled, I had been told my whole life also that you will become a prideful person and you'll be successful, and then you're going to leave religion. And that's what the Bible says. It sets you up for disaster, basically. It was like genius the way they put it together. Like, but once you become educated, then you will not believe. And it's harder for a rich man to get into heaven than to go through like the needle of there's all these scriptures and things that set you up for it. So when it happened to me and everything fell apart for me, that's when I started the band, and I was obsessed with this idea of, okay, now I'm bad to all my family and my friends, which I care about 100 times more than what the world thinks of me. It's natural, I think, for most people. So to disappoint my mom and do things like that was horrible for me. So I think that probably also made me feel like, okay, I'm going to hell, so let me do all I can to be good. And like, so I'm not, first it was that because I really thought that. And then when it got to a point where I was like, okay, I don't believe that, I think it also just came from the good part of how I was raised. I like one of my earliest memories was sitting at our table in the kitchen and being afraid because there was someone at our table. I was like 5 or 6 or something. It was like one of my earliest memories. There was someone at our table that was perceived as scary. It was this big stranger who came into our house. He was a really big man, and he was dirty and he was smelly, and he sat down at the table with us at dinner. And I remember being like, what's going on? I think I probably asked my mom and dad right in front of them what's going on. And then they kind of brushed it off, and this man continued to come into our house for the next, like, once a week for like a couple months. And then he disappeared. And years passed by until I was about 12 years old. And sorry for being lengthy with my speaking.
Oh, I love it. Please.
But years passed by when I was about 12 years old. One day, like a Rolls Royce, I think it was actually really a Rolls Royce, pulled up at our house, and this man got out in this suit with this beautiful woman, and he came up to the door, and I happened to be the one who answered the door, and he says, "Your dad here?" And my dad came out and started crying, and they hugged, and I thought I kind of recognized him. I didn't know why. Anyway, long story short, I talked to my dad later about this that day, and the guy came in and had dinner with us. And my dad explained that there was this homeless man that he had met coming home from work one day, took him home to eat with the family. He was on drugs and all this stuff. And my dad kind of took him under his wing and like brought him into the family. And this was my parents to a T. They did this stuff all the time, but I'm sharing this with you just so you can understand how big of a part of my life it was. And anyway, he ended up getting off drugs and became a pastor, a super successful pastor. And when he came and saw my mom and dad after like years of being away, it was obviously this amazing emotional moment. He came to say thanks to my mom and dad. Anyway, so it was things like that were constantly happening with my parents, serving. And they're the happiest people I know. Happy, never depressed for a day in their life. And so I think that's in my head too. The more you do, the happier you are, that old cliche, but I think there's a reason it is because it's probably true.
That's amazing. So besides this guy, were there like people throughout the whole week?
Oh, still to this day. There's always every family event. This is like my biggest argument I have with my mom all the time. It's so selfish of me. So and we're talking about all these good things I do. So let me tell you the shitty things I do all the time too. So I really have a hard time when I go to a family event and there's non-family people there. Right. I'm already really uncomfortable. Yep. I don't like anything to do with fame. It's never been an enjoyable concept to me. I don't really like to, especially when I've been on the road and stuff. I want to come home. I want to see my family. I don't want to talk to me. I don't want someone to come up to me and ask me how tour was. It's like the last thing I want to talk about. I also don't want to sign a CD. I don't want to like say happy birthday to someone. Like it's like, I just don't like it, but it just is like, if that makes me a horrible person, I'm just being honest with you. So every family event I go to, there's always like 6-7 people that my mom brought because one of them is sick and they love Imagine Dragons, and so here they are, and then it's also this friend who's homeless now, and she got kicked out of her house, and so she's now staying at the house. Like, this is a constant theme of my entire life, and so you can't help when you're around that all the time to be like, damn, what am I doing? And here I am, like, sad about myself as this successful rock star. Like, look at your mom, she's like,
are you taking care of your parents?
They don't need it. They're so like just going strong. They're in their early 70s, and we're actually, we just purchased, my whole family, this property in Vegas. So there's 9 kids and then my 2 parents. So there's 11 of us, all of them married, all of them have kids, over 40 grandkids. Mormons have tons of kids. We just bought this lot in Vegas that's like, everybody's moving in together. It's going to be like this Mormon commune. Like, it's probably going to be I don't know. It's pretty,
I'm into the communes. I had Brandy Carlisle on a couple weeks ago, and she has a commune going on and her property, and she was telling me about it, and I'm like, that sounds awesome. So her band actually they all have property. Her sister is married to her wife's, brother, and so there's this big community, and I'm like, I've always wanted to have a little commune, because to me, I could get away from all this and move to Mill Valley, up north, and it's a tiny town where you say hi to everybody, Norm, Sally, Rebecca, and you guys, hey, I'm gonna go get my lettuce. Thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow at the town hall shindig, whatever. And I think I would really strive in a situation like that. So I'm all about a commune and a little place.
Person, I'm all I can't get enough of my family. And even though I'm the only one in my family who's not Mormon now, which
not with my family.
Yeah, really?
No, man. No, this is me bringing a whole new family, not with my fucking family. Hell no. Jesus
I know,
Christ.
it's not for everybody, for sure. And maybe I'll talk to you in 2 years and be like, it's the biggest mistake I ever made. The thought of it so far feels good. Yeah.
Family is interesting. Yeah. I think it's when I was So I was kind of a screw up when I was younger, and I did a lot of drugs, and I kept fucking up, and I lived in San Diego. I was brought up in San Diego, and then around 19 or 20, I moved to San Francisco, and I actually didn't mean to move there. I was just driving with someone who didn't want to make the drive by themselves, so I ended up staying there for 2 months. Anyways, my life began in San Francisco, and I would call my family and go, "Hey, I've been playing these solo gigs all by myself, and people kind of like it. I'm writing music." Yeah. Hey, I think I'm getting popular because there's like tons of people coming to my show. Yeah. I joined this band, and it seems like we're really good. Yeah. I made this demo. Yeah. We're playing sold out shows. Yeah. We just got signed. Yeah. Made a video. Yeah. And then it was one day, "Hey, Linda,
Right.
dude, did you know that your video's on MTV?" And I was like, "Fuck you." And then everybody's calling me. My dad's calling me. My dad never even, I was invisible to my father. All of a sudden he's designing a website for me and doing all this stuff. And, and I was just like, so no on the family, except for my brother, John. He manages, this is my studio. And he manages the studio, but he's the only one I'd probably take to the commune.
Right. Yeah, I think obviously there's gonna be a couple ones that I'm thinking about now that I'm like, those people's kids are a little difficult. I mean, it's 40 plus kids. That poor high school, whatever that is gonna be like renamed Reynolds High School. It's gonna all be Reynolds kids.
So tell me about your songwriting. As open as you are, the songs seem obviously extremely personal, and I feel like, can you tell me about your process of songwriting? Because I feel like there's, again, I get a lot of those questions, about how do you write songs, and I can tell you how I do it, but, I'm really curious, like where is the inspiration? How much do you pull from outside? How much do you pull from inside? And where is your true spot?
So where I am now, for instance, we've been writing on for the last year and a half, I think, for this new record. There's no date for it or anything like that, but we've been writing, and the process is, and this is how it's always been, I will probably write 150 to 200 demo ideas that I'll create at home. I produce here on Ableton is what I usually use. Before it was Logic, and before that it was GarageBand when I was like 12. And I started doing this when I was about 11 or 12 years old. We had Cakewalk, actually was the program that I started on. And just watched my brother do it over his shoulder, taught myself kind of to do, hit record, what's a compressor, okay, what's an EQ, how does that work, like all those things. And then it just became my diary since I was young. I have written a stupid amount of demos, like over 1,000 and I'm not saying this is 1,000 good songs. This is like, to me, it's like a journal entry. I see it the same way. It's like I'll sit down, and it was very cathartic for me, especially when I was in really bad bouts of depression. I'd sit down, create a landscape. So it'd either be keys. I got piano lessons from 6 to 16, so I had like 10 years of piano training, and then or guitar. So it's always one or the other. So chords, simple chords, and melody and lyric, and then I would make the song and I'd show it to my dad always, and he was really the one that I was always trying to impress or share kind of this part of me. All the rest of my brothers, it's like, they're all just like, you're my little brother making music. I don't want to hear what you're doing. Which I understand now. And my mom was just, she was busy. So I did that, and I do the exact same thing today. So I write almost every day. So today, I have a session that I brought up on Ableton, and I just started creating a song. And then when it comes time for the record, we'll get together as a band. And every time I write a song now, I email it to everybody, so they all have it. Sometimes Wayne will send me a track that he's been working on at his house. He's our guitarist. He'll send it to me now. And he's done it for a long time, since the beginning of the band. He's been a big producer for the band, and I'll sing on his songs. And then the other way also is now Daniel Platzman, our drummer, for the last 2 records has really gotten into producing, and he'll send me songs and I'll write to those as well. So at the end of the day, we have about 200 tracks. Everybody has been listening to them for about 2 years, and the good ones kind of just stay. Like, you get tired of some, you think one's good this beginning and then it ends up being really shitty. One that you didn't like that much kind of gets better over time. So we sit with it for about a year and a half. This is the longest we've gone between records, so 2 years. And then everybody makes a list of their favorite 20 to 30. And then we get in a studio together and everybody just kind of tears apart the song and puts it back together. And then also on every record, we have had a producer that has come in and help us sort through the songs. And I feel bad for every one of these producers because they have to listen to literally 200 demos, which is ridiculous. And then sometimes I'll write a couple songs with them that will make the record, and this will be at the end of the record cycle. So it's just that's kind of the gist of it. This is where I do all my music right here. I literally have my keyboard right here, a little guitar over there, compressor, EQ, just like the basics, and then all my synths that I work with. And you can do a lot of drum programming beforehand, and then we'll get into the studio and add real instruments.
And then I tell everybody like I'll get things like, what do you do with writer's block, whatever. And I always, my go-to response is, I don't really get that because to me, it's a thinker's problem. Like I pick up a guitar, I'll just come up with the song right now, but I don't edit, so it sounds like you're doing that too. So can you talk about the editor? Like when you start editing and how that fucks everything up?
I hate it. I hate the studio at the end every time. It's the part of music I never enjoy. I do this every day, not because I have to do this for a record. We could get together and write 10 songs. It probably wouldn't be great. But for me, I don't enjoy that. I don't really even enjoy working in a group setting, to be honest with you. I really enjoy being by myself in a room. And I don't self-edit at all. I'll start an idea. If it's terrible, I will see it through to the end. Sometimes I'll scrap it in the very early stages, but once I'm in it halfway, I finish it always. And I'll do it every day. And I don't go out of the room until I finish it. And my wife knows this and she hates it. Because she'll come in and be like, you haven't eaten or you need to go do this. And I'm like, I just got to finish this idea. And if I don't, then I'm just way OCD. And it's like, it feels like I'm incomplete for the rest of the day until I finish the idea.
Right. How is ego in the band? Like, are we talking a healthy ego, or is there friction that happens, within the band mates of maybe choosing songs, or you're getting too much attention, or any of that stuff?
Definitely that has been a part of our band from the very beginning. I think as we're together longer, it actually, I was going to say it got better, but I feel like it got worse for a while. and then we actually did band therapy. This is the first time we did that. We met as like a whole band and did therapy. And this is after this last record. So pretty recent. Wow. It's been hard. It's not easy to go through this huge life-changing process when you're four dudes with egos. And it just is. I would say, as I've traveled and seen more bands, I think we probably get along better than the majority of bands. Everybody's pretty democratic. Everything's a democratic vote. All this, everything is like, you vote. If it's 2-2, then we have to keep waiting until it's 3-1. So there's no I am the ultimate power. I would love that, but that's not how it is. And so we do okay, but we definitely, we've had times we get off stage and we yell at each other, or and some of us get along better than others, and there's all those dynamics. Because at the end of the day, sometimes I don't know about everybody, but sometimes you start a band with the people that are your best friends, and sometimes you start a band with someone who has a musical thing that works with you, but that doesn't mean that you guys would get along in different ways. So we're four very different individuals. We all have four very different musical tastes, and so that works to the betterment of the band, and also to the worse, whatever that word would be. It's not betterment, but it's not worsement. But let's pretend that's a word.
Yeah, let's do worsement. I like it. Because that's an interesting place to be with bands, and I think that one of the things that this generation of whatever artists that are growing into music right now, a lot of development is happening in the studio. a lot of things that, who you become as an artist really didn't happen in the rehearsal room, because God knows nobody knows what a rehearsal room is right now.
Right.
And there's not a lot of bands per se. There's a lot of artists that are putting bands together. And I use that loosely because they're actually paying for those people to be there as a band.
Right.
And so you don't get the opportunity right now to develop with your band. And so I think that this part is interesting probably for a lot of people, because they don't understand that, hey, when you join a band and you're doing this stuff, there is a friction, because everybody wants to be heard. But there's always the person, and we always know who it is. It's the lead singer, because the reason the lead singer is the lead singer is because that person is who's captivating. They're reading the audience. You're grabbing them. When someone's sleepy over there, so you're going to put on more charge. Right. And, you're the one that's selling the music. So in reality, you have to own the melodic structure of what you're selling and the lyrical content. So it's not that, oh, I'm the singer, I'm badass, my decision should be ultimate, but you are the singer, and your decision should be at the end the one that's considered the most, because you are the one that's selling the lyric.
And I think that a band will fail. I genuinely think a band will fail if it doesn't have a very strong leader that has a distinct vision, really fights for it. That dynamic, I think, is an important part of a band. If you had just four guys that were all like, let's just be completely democratic. It's 25, 25, 25, 20, and everybody talked the same amount and everybody was the same passionate. It would be a big nothing. You have to have. So for me, that actually has been a hard dynamic for me to fully understand, because when the band started, I remember being like, I'm never going to be like that guy. What a jackass. Like, what a dumbass. I'm never going to be that person. And then as time goes by, you're like, I need to be a little bit more like that person, because this record was not good because I didn't stand up and say what I knew. And there's some things only the singer's going to know. You're going to know your lyrical, you're going to know when something moves you in a different way because you sang it and you experienced it, than a listener or a band member who hears it after. And that's good and bad. I think sometimes I need that. Like I'll play something for Wayne and I'll say, I think this is really good. And he'll say, I don't really like it. It's kind of boring to me. And I'm like, well, but let me tell you what it's about. It's like, you got to understand, it's like this really serious thing to me. And he's like, well, it doesn't resonate with me. So I think both dynamics are important, but you have to have a really passionate singer in order to have success.
But don't you think that becomes a matter of opinion? I think it's very tricky, playing songs to people, because, it does become a matter of opinion. And not saying Wayne is doing anything, but it could be his mood that day. He could have some kind of resentment holding on. And, and then it's like, oh, it could be jealousy. There could be a lot of things. And again, somebody might be like into, Alice Cooper, Alice Cooper, by the way, is going to be on our show with Lizzie Hell. Do you know Lizzie Hell?
Oh, God. I don't know Lizzie Hell. I know Alice Cooper.
Lizzie Hell is doing an interview right after this with Alice Cooper.
Okay, cool.
She does a show on our channel. So it's like, how do you weigh that out? So I always think, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to wear that coat. I'm going to listen to what they're saying. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to play my song again. And I'm going to check out my ego. I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to listen to the opinion. And if it still weighs, like if something makes me mad, it's usually the truth. So if somebody gives me opinion and I get mad, it's because they're totally fucking right on. And it pisses me off. Do you have that?
Yeah, that totally happens to me. And it sucks because I'm so aware of that now that I will be so careful to not be mad. This happens with my wife a lot even. She'll like say something and I'll be like, oh, I'm so upset right now. And it's totally right. But I'll just be like, oh yeah, you're totally right. But I'm trying to break the system now, because I know that about myself so much.
I wanted to, okay, so you're working on this app. Thank you again. You've been so generous with your time. I'm going to let you go. I just wanted to touch base on, okay, so you guys are working on this album, have you had like a favorite producer that you've worked with that you felt like was the most gel? Or do you keep changing producers to evolve, or like where are you at with it? Do you feel like you need a producer?
We, our second record, we really self-produced for the most part. We did almost every song on it. Alex the Kid did 2 songs, I think, on that record. And it's one of my favorite records. It performed the least well of all our records. It was following up Night Visions, which was this ginormous record. And then we said, okay, well, let's self-produce this next record. And there's something I like about both. I don't know. I think somewhere in the middle is probably best for us. I think we need some guide and direction of somebody who says, especially at this point, because there are egos, that is very helpful to have someone who says, hey, look, I have no skin in the game. This is just good and this is bad. And then people can agree or disagree, but I think that leadership actually is helpful at this point because of all the years. But on the same note, we self-produce so much always beforehand that it's not like it's just it's going to sound like us no matter what at the end of the day, because we come in with 200 songs and we narrow it down to 20 and then we get a producer in there. So long story short, I've had good experiences with every producer we've worked with: Alex the Kid, Joel Little, Matt Man and Robin, John Hill. Everybody I've worked with, I've really enjoyed, and it's all done a different product. So it definitely influences the music in a way. I don't know how it's going to go with this record, because like I said, we have 200 songs. This is more than we've ever had, and it's definitely an evolution of sound. So I don't want to change where we are because I feel good about it. But
so you think this could be a self-production?
It might, because this has just been a strange time. I've lost 3 close friends in the last year. One of which was my sister-in-law. It was like it's been a really emotional year for me, a really rewarding year. I got back with my wife after we were split up for a year. That was super hard. I was in a really dark place. So I've been through a lot, and I'm also, I've been really happy though in a lot of ways. So I have a newborn baby. It's just like,
congratulations.
There was a lot that happened in my life. And I think that breeds good music, or at least honest music. So
do you feel like, you are constantly evolving? Are you better than you were 10 years ago? Or how are you about looking at life to improve and evolve? Like, are you accountable for your shit?
Yeah, I think there's 2 ways that I look at it. One part of me wants to say to you, absolutely yes, as a writer, I'm better, for sure. I'll listen to my music and I think, okay, that was corny. I don't want to do that anymore. This was cool. This is better. This sounds better. Like I feel like, that I would. But on the same note, what is better? You know what I mean? It's kind of like when I put out Night Visions, that's who I was. It was like, that was when I was singing Radioactive and screaming at the top of my lungs, it's time to begin. Like, that is exactly who I was. That's how I felt. And so that's why I have a hard time with, I'll have people ask me this question sometimes. They'll say, do you like Justin Bieber? Do you like his music? Do you like this person's music? And it sounds stupid because I'm really like, I enjoy when people give their opinions on things and they're really honest about it. I'm like, cool, awesome. This is more intriguing to me. But I also just, I feel like music is so subjective to me as I get older. I'm like, if it's someone and they wrote what they felt and they could sing on key to some degree so that it's not rubbing so bad that it's driving me crazy, it's interesting to me. And it's good because it is their authentic output. So, when people are like, well, this is good and bad, just subjective, I'm just like, that's kind of a really naive thing. Like, you're judging sound waves from a human being and then saying which sound wave is good. It's kind of like, do you like an apple or do you like an orange? This tree created an orange. This one created an apple. It's like a little bit of a like monkey brain haven't evolved way of thinking, I think. So long story short, yeah, I hate some people's music.
Which, by the way, wasn't even the question. The question was, do you feel like you evolve as a human?
Oh, yeah. I was trying to think, I guess, as a human. No, I think yeah.
I didn't put the human part, but I was talking about if you feel like you're constantly evolving. So I love the misdirection that you just took. It was really great.
Have I evolved? Yeah, I mean, I would hope.
Constantly, I think it's yesterday I was just talking to Robin Thicke, and I was talking about being in the here and now and not worrying about, so that you began the question really great, because what is better was yesterday. So this is who we are today.
I guess it applies the same to life. Yeah. I'd say the same thing. Cause I have, when people ask about regrets, I know it's a cliche, but I'm like, what is a regret? I mean, it's like, that was my path. That was my life. I almost feel like I couldn't even chosen different. It just was, my output was what I was, and that is my life. So I don't know. I don't really understand the concept of that much. Yeah.
Thank you. One tiny last question, only because I've been in this thing, and then I know that you suffer at this situation, and I just kind of wanted to quickly jump on it. But so last Monday, I woke up and literally in massive pain, and I couldn't walk. I couldn't move. My whole shoulder was pulled out, my neck, and found out like 4 days later that it was a severe pinched nerve that bulged and burst, went into my spine. I mean, I've never felt pain like this before. For 4 or 5 days, I was on my back, and I had to get a shot in my neck with steroids. Yep. I never take pain pills. Like, I had to take one before I did this because it's hard for me to sit.
Right.
And, but I know that you suffer with chronic pain. I can't begin to tell you. I don't know the way you pronounce the first word, but
spondylitis. It's a mouthful.
Yeah. But how are you doing in that? But I mean, that I was like severely depressed, really hard. So I was like thinking, God, this guy has been suffering with this chronic pain.
It has been the bane of my existence for 8 years. I was diagnosed when I was 22 with ankylosing spondylitis and ulcerative colitis. So basically, the short way to explain that is my bowels are messed up, my stomach's messed up, it's ulcerates, and my whole body inflames for no reason. It will just attack itself in the joints. So it'll attack my SI joints primarily, so my hips, lower butt, lower back. Sometimes it's my neck, sometimes it's my hands. I just have kind of an arthritis of my body inflames. So for me, what has been life-changing, because I really live in relatively low pain compared to how I was. I'll have a day where I'm like, I feel a little bit achy, but I do everything I want. I love sports. I love to surf. And I do all those things. So for me, what I had to change was my diet. My diet and exercise. For me, anybody who's having inflammation issues, which even a pinched nerve, it's because it's stress and inflammation. And so for me, one, my diet consists of little to no sugar, little to no processed foods, little red meat, dairy, little to no dairy, all the things that breed inflammation. I have to cut them out. And it's super boring, and I don't recommend it to anybody, because it's like people are like, well, I'd rather die and eat how I want. I get it, cool, and I don't do it perfectly, but I it's either that or I'm in pain and can't get out of bed and can't perform, can't do anything I want. So it's kind of life or death for me. Right. So diet and then exercise. I have to work out every single day. I have to get blood moving through all parts of my body. I work out my ass and legs way more than I would want to, but I do because it increases it helps with all my hinge movements, and it really changed my life. Olympic lifting changed my life. I have to do it. It's just, it's comes with
what's Olympic lifting?
It's when you see someone who has the bars and they're lifting overheads and the deadlifts. It's the stuff that nobody likes to do. Every guy wants to go to the gym and be like, I bench press, and it's none of that. It's all strengthening all your core. It's strengthening your hips. It's strengthening your glutes. All the things that most people don't want to work out. But for me, that's where the primary places that I have pain. And I'm tall, so it's just strengthening all those joints. Helps it so I'm not putting. For you also, it could be your posture. It could be how you're sitting every day that you pulled something, or maybe you had something that you did.
It's severely, and a lot of stress. That's what really hit, and my posture is terrible. When before my son, I was doing yoga for 7 years, 5 days a week. And then when we had our son, I started carrying him, all the time. So, and then my posture completely changed. I stopped doing yoga. And so things started shifting from there. But Dan, thank you for this time. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you did as well. And I thought this was really probably my best conversation I've had with somebody. It felt really real and true. And thanks for your honesty. And I do hope everything is great for you. And I can't wait to hear this new album. And call me if you need another 201 songs.
Hey.
And but thank you so much, and I appreciate you coming on here.
Deal. And yoga, by the way, that actually is what saved my back more than anything.
Yeah.
More than anything. It was the first thing I did. So yeah, yoga all day.
Yoga. All right.
All right.
Bye, Dan.
Bye.
Okay. So what a great interview. What a great guy. Very generous. And I find it awesome when people are so generous with their time and with their words and with their heart. And I loved that. I love that. So, hey, you guys, this was What's Up with Linda Perry. And you're going to have an incredible weekend. And I'm going to see you guys, just so you know, I'm not doing Monday and Tuesdays anymore. I'm only doing Wednesdays and Fridays, but I might be doing a Thursday next week. I don't remember. Karen, can you pop on really quick? Karen, come on. Really fast.
I'm here. Hi.
Where are you? Can you tell everybody what's happening today?
Sure. Today, you have Raise Your Horns with Lizzie Hale up next with Alice Cooper. WA TV News at 2 o'clock.
That's featuring Sarkis and Emily Valentine, our new additions, our new stars. Go ahead.
Sure. And then at 3 o'clock, you have the High Low Show with Anita Sparks karaoke edition. And it looks like we're doing interviews for Kai's show at 3:30.
All right. Is that it?
That is what I have. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Karen. All right, you guys, I'm out of here. Have a great weekend. I will see you guys next Wednesday. And please have an incredible weekend. And remember to just be in the here and now with what we're dealing with. All right. Bye.